ceasefire talks in London on Thursday grind to a halt, the future of Ukraine, it becomes increasingly murky, but no one understands the threat of the Kremlin better than those in the Baltic neighbourhood. My name is Angela Skujins, this is TVP World, and I'm joined here by the Lithuanian MEP Petras Austrevicius. He is here to explain the impact of these dialogues on the rest of the EU. Hi Petras.
Good day.
What was your read of those ceasefire talks in London on Thursday? Were they a failure, as some people have described them to be?
I wouldn't call it neither ceasefire nor peace talks. It looks like the talks in general are in a deadlock situation with a very bad promise or kind of the agenda for Ukraine. So I wouldn't call it a go agenda for Ukraine at all, because it's about to lose about 20% of its territory, no security guarantees, no clarity about its future in the Western institutions. So that's why I'm not surprised because of the critical remarks by President Zelensky, downgraded participation in London. I think we need time. Ukraine needs time, and probably US has to change its negotiating tactics, not giving up grounds to Russia, but really defending Ukraine.
I mean, you tweeted today, you posted on social media platform X that Europe must stand with Ukraine and take decisive steps to assist that war-torn country's military, but isn't Europe already stepping up to this through the Rearm Europe pledge?
Well, I'm very, very disappointed, with Europe's role in these talks. I don't see Europe at all. I hear good statements, supportive statements. I appreciate, Europe didn't give up support for Ukraine, and we still provide macro-financial assistance as well as military assistance to Ukraine. But to my mind, these talks have to be, taking place in Europe, and a European kind of the supporting hand or providing good offices and giving everything what Ukraine needs.
So, what I'm hearing is that you're critical that these talks occurred in London, but we know that they also occurred last week in Paris. Is the location the only thing that the EU needs to be stronger on? Or, what else can the EU do? Because some would look at Rearm Europe and say, wow, this is a significant amount of money. Countries can co-procure these military projects and send some of the benefits to Ukraine.
Frankly, I have no clarity what is going on in London, in Saudi Arabia. Some part of the negotiations started in Saudi Arabia. These talks in Paris and London are more of a clarification type of. So that's why I think Europe was already, kind of deleted from the list of major negotiating party from very start. So now probably we are catching up. Hopefully we will, but I'm not sure about this at all. And where we will end up. Maybe US will change its position, and again, will take a leading role as for now. So that's why I think we are in a weak position.
I think you certainly have a point there. We know that the High Representative Kai Kallas wasn't present at these talks, as well as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. But just going back to Rearm Europe, how do you envisage Lithuania tapping into that 150 billion euro loan program? What projects do you think are very important for Vilnius as part of that project?
According to our calculations, by 2028, 2029, we have to invest in addition to our annual military budget, which stands now by 4%, and we will reach 5%, next year. We need some 10-12 billion in addition, meaning almost 3 annual budgets. If we want to have air defense system up to the requirements, to establish some additional military units, and again, some military equipment which is expensive, but it's so needed for my country and for the Baltic region, by the way, because we are in a good cooperation with our Baltic neighbors, as well as the Nordic countries in general, from the Baltic Sea region. But I'm not sure, we will have enough of support from the European Union. 150 looks big, but it's 4 years divided. You will have a rather small amount of money. I am sure, we will have to look for some additional resources aside.
Do you think there's appetite from Lithuania to mimic any of the architecture set up in Poland? I'm specifically talking about the Eastern Shield. It's a flagship project by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. We heard the Defence Commissioner, Andrius Kubilius, saying that there could be appetite from certain countries to adopt that kind of fortification. Do you see that happening in Lithuania?
Well, look, we have two aggressive neighbors, like Russian Federation and Belarus. It's ally, simply a part of the big Russia. So that's why we have to be very serious in protecting our population as well as securing our borders. And we're speaking about almost 1,000 kilometers of common border between the Russian Federation and Belarus. So that's why we have to have enough of capacity, modern and probably up to best world technologies, military equipment. So we will really rearm ourselves. It's the right probably kind of title for our defense program, but we need even, I would say, closer cooperation with our neighbors. Now single country in the Baltic Sea region doesn't decide everything. We need partnership cooperation, and we need to stand each after another.
It's interesting that you mentioned partnership cooperation, because Lithuania was one of the 4 countries that announced in March that it would withdraw from the Ottawa Convention, Poland being one of those countries as well. This is a policy that has been ratified in Lithuania since 2013. What is the symbolism of Lithuania stepping away from the Ottawa Convention?
I think we have to learn, and we have to follow what is going on in Ukraine. And in Ukraine we have a total destruction warfare employed by the Russian Federation. And that's the country which really does not have any good promise for all of us. So we have to be up to any challenge which comes from the East. So that's why we're not going to use first, but just to have a chance to stop adversaries who are to destroy our lifestyle, our homes, our families. So that's why we will use each and every military equipment, military mean to stop any potential aggressor. So that's why our withdrawal from Ottawa Convention or even from Dublin Convention, so it's a clear signal to any potential aggressor what they or he or she might see in Lithuania once the border will be crossed by them.
And is there any appetite currently within the Lithuanian government to start planting those landmines?
Landmines are usually used as a complex weapon. For example, protecting anti-tank mines. But probably some sectors of the border might be mined in case of a high alert or high, kind of the potential risk.
And we also heard a senior member of that government in Vilnius announce, their ambition to increase defence spending to at least 6% of GDP. But obviously with that, as you said before, this money can't appear out of nowhere. So
exactly.
I'm assuming that there may be cuts to national budgets, maybe social welfare. How does the government in Lithuania balance the interests of people that might benefit from social welfare programs for increased military and defensive capabilities?
We do need, a much bigger military budget. We're looking, for probably 30-40% of increase of the annual military defense budget. So it means that we need additional financial means. These means are to come from additional sources by increased taxes or loans. Indeed, we're still very low in debt, so to say. And our main, task is to balance our economic system in a good way. Not to decrease economic growth, which is so needed, for a country in general, because people are still looking forward, to reach European standards as soon as possible. So that's why on one side, we are to increase taxes, but hopefully it will be done in a way to sustain economic growth, which really is the main source of budgetary revenue.
And I think it would be fair to say that Lithuania has a wartime mindset. You could argue that it's in the zeitgeist. As we know, Russia has attempted and has taken over Lithuania many times in the last century. What message would you have for MEPs or politicians, particularly in Southern Europe, who are resistant to adopting this wartime mindset, resistant to increasing their military spending budgets? What would you say to them?
Well, my messages would be probably as simple and as short. Already for 10 years or a decade, Europe is in an absolutely different security situation. We have a country from the east, the Russian Federation and its allies, who are really not really happy with the Western lifestyle, with our partners. So they're looking forward for each and every possibility to challenge us and to see for a weak, let's say, part of a chain on the Western side. So that's why we have to be very serious. We have to invest more into our security. And I'm not sure, the future looks very easy and bright unless we will prepare for any, inconvenient situations we might get into, because not us, but because of others who are ready to challenge us with great resources, even own sacrifices. So that's why if we are a union of like-minded, let's act like-minded, not just being, regionally minded countries. So that's why I expect solidarity and understanding.
Well, we recently heard the news from Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez that he expects his country to be on track to meeting that 2% NATO funding benchmark. So hopefully that is symbolism enough for all of those NATO allies. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching TVP World, but make sure that you stick around as more news commentary and analysis is coming up. See you next time.